Today we're learning about Dinah. I call her the daughter of transformation. And we're going to be learning it a lot different than the traditional way that it's taught in various Jewish schools. So usually it's taught like there's this girl, she went out. Because she went out, this evil man saw her and he raped her, and then she and so she got violated. So therefore we learn from Dinah's story that a woman should not go out. She should stay inside the four walls of her home. So now I'm going to teach it a little different, with your permission, I'm sure. Okay, wait, so Judy, you're muted. Do you want to say something?
I said, please, I'm really excited.
Okay, well, great. Okay, so I really hope the other people gotten my emails, because didn't get many responses, and I see that we're just very few people right now. Okay, so it's difficult to understand the story of Dinah. Why did she have to endure this suffering? What did she do wrong? And are we blaming the victim? So that's something we don't want to do. We don't want to blame anyone. Actually, the story of Dinah is one of the things we learn from Dinah is not to blame. But we have a few questions still. Why didn't her father protect her better? And why didn't he rescue her? What happened to the child conceived? Is there a lesson to glean from Dinah's story for women who were abused? And, unfortunately, so many women were abused. Hi, Leslie. And, much more than you ever think, And so I think that the story of Dinah really is very comforting for women who were abused. So it starts off, text number 1 in the long text sheet, the one that says with psukim, and it says there, V'tetze Dinah bat Leah, Dinah the daughter of Leah went out, asher yalda leYaakov, that she had given birth to for Yaakov, lirot bivnot haaretz, to see the daughters of the land, v'ya ota Shechem ben Hamor, hachivi nasi haaretz. So Shechem, the son of Hamor, the Chivite, the prince of the land, saw her. He took her, he slept with her, and he violated her. So this pasuk is a key pasuk in understanding Dinah's story, and there's a few things that seems like a bit redundant, things that it didn't have to say, things we could have figured out on our own. Which are those things? Yes, Terry, great. I wasn't sure you got my email. Okay, great. So what are some of the redundancies in text number 1? So it says, first of all, daughter of Leah. We know that already. It says in the Torah beforehand that Leah gave birth to Dinah. Then it also says the daughter whom she gave birth to for Yaakov, that we could have also figured out. I mean, that we also knew. And and then it seems to be like a lot of different words that's describing what Shechem, the son of Hamor, did to her. V'kach ota, he took her. V'shkav ota, he slept with her. V'yaneha, and he violated her. So first, trying to get some allusions in the text to why Dinah went out, or Chaim brings that because she was a daughter of Leah, that's why she went out. That's why I had to say daughter of Leah, even though we know that, because Leah was an outgoer. Because we know that it says, if you remember when we learned the story about the Dudaim, the love flowers, that Leah went out towards Yaakov to tell Yaakov, you're coming to my tent. So the same word as the way it starts in our story about Dinah in chapter 34, verse 1. The same word, V'tetze Dinah, is written, hey, Sharon, yay, is written about Leah, V'tetze Leah. Okay, I have to look away because I'm getting a little bit dizzy by some people walking around, but that's okay. So it explains why did she go out? Because she was the only daughter to Yaakov. That's why it had to say that she gave birth to for Yaakov, because we know Yaakov had only sons. And that's why it says she went out. What? Why did she go out? Lirot bivnot haaretz, to see the daughters of the land. Yes? So, because also, not only because she wasn't used to other daughters, but also because the Midrash says that Shechem had brought girls around Yaakov's tent, and they would be playing all different instruments. They make almost like a whole circus to entice Dinah, because there is a rule like that Gentile men, they want to take a Jewish daughter. You see that a lot in the world also today. Okay, so we're gonna move to text number 2. That's Rashi. So here in Rashi we see exactly what we mentioned before, that both Leah and Dinah, the exact same phrases is written about them with the exact same words. V'tzetze Leah, v'tzetze Dinah. They both went out. So, like mother, like daughter. That's the expression that they use to describe Dinah and her similarity to her mother, Leah. Okay, but Abarbanel says the opposite in a way. He says that, as we've learned that Rachel was the outer world and Leah was the hidden world, that Leah actually didn't go out. That was an exception that one time. She was someone who always would used to stay in her home, whereas Rachel is the one who goes out more. She was the sheepherder. So he says opposite. Okay, different opinions. Leah was very, very, very hidden, very tsanua, very modest. And that's why Yaakov didn't even recognize her at the wedding night. And when she went out towards Yaakov, she intended for the sake of heaven, because she wanted to conceive more tribes. And so Rashi says we compare daughter to mother. So just like the mother, Leah, was righteous and had holy intentions, so did Dinah. Like her going out was in holiness. And this is from Abarbanel, and this is, not what they teach in most of the Jewish schools, where they teach like, oh, no, women should not go out. It was bad what Leah did, and look what happens when women go out. So this is not what Abarbanel says. He says it was good. She went out with good intention, just like Leah. But then we still have to, and she went out to see who? The women of the land, not the men. Okay? Right. Some women, yeah, go ahead, Terry.
I was just going to tell you that I heard a very interesting commentary about this from my Chabad rabbi this year. And he was talking in the same line, 34:1. He said, I think he said it was from Rashi, that it says, when it says the daughters of the land, it's bivanot.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that.
You're going to do that? You're going to talk about it? Okay,
I'll let you. Don't give it away yet.
Okay, I won't.
But that's amazing that he knew that.
I really love that. Really, it really worked.
Okay, so wait, let's hold it. We're not up to that yet. Okay. But that's very, very good. Okay, very excellent. So I'll call on you to say it when we get there. Okay. So there's some other. We're still in a comparison between Leah and Dinah. So there are some more comparisons, deeper comparisons. What do we know about Leah, and we have learned about her? What was her special ability? In addition to her ability to praise Hashem, there was something else. Leah is from the world of tshuva, the world of transformation also. It says in the Midrash that if she would have been married to who?
Esau.
Yeah, Esau, she would have been able to transform him. So in the same way, Dinah also had that ability to transform Esav. But, and actually it was like a really good thing that she went out, just like also Yael went out. It also says about Yael. And Devorah praises Yael in the Song of Devorah in the book of Shoftim. I think it's chapter 4 or 5. And she says, Tevorach Yael minashim ba'ohel, minashim ba'ohel tevorach. Yael is blessed more than the women in the tent. More than the women in the tent is Yael blessed. And so the meaning is that there is a really great thing about going out for a woman. That can't be a great thing, even though women in a tent is something very holy. Like we know when the angels came to tell Abraham and Sarah that Sarah was going to have a son, they asked, yes, Sarah ishtecha, where's Sarah, your wife? And then Abraham says, Hine ba'ohel, behold, in the tent. And so Rashi says, well, the angels knew where Sarah was. Why they had to ask? Well, they asked in order to endear her to Abraham, that Abraham would have to say, she's in the tent, and that will remind him, I have such a holy woman, Sarah, who's so modest and who's in the tent. So it's a very great thing that women are praised for, the modesty and being in the tent, but they are also praised for the ability to go out of the tent when necessary, like Yael, and like Leah, when she went to meet Yaakov in order to conceive more tribes, and even possibly even Dinah, according to Abarbanel, she had the power of transformation, and we're going to see where that takes us. So she was born to Yaakov, which we know is also an extra word. And so here is a hint that Yaakov was partially to blame for the violation of Dinah. Why? Does anyone know the story that has to do with Esav, Yaakov, and Dinah? Anyone knows that story? So it's in the Midrash Rabbah, Bereishit Rabbah Ein He Piskatet, and it says, when he took his 2 wives, his 2 maidens, servants, his 11 sons, etc. Somebody was not mentioned. Who was not mentioned? Dinah. And the Midrash asks, where was Dinah? Like the text omits Dinah. So the Midrash is based on the fact that the text is omitting Dinah. So the Midrash is not just out of thin air. It has like a basis, a foundation to found itself. So the Midrash answer, anyone knows? It's a famous. Sharon, you must know this, no? Yes, you know it, Terry, go ahead.
I learned it. You don't, but you say it.
No, go ahead.
I was upset by this, that he had her hidden in a box, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have reason to be upset because the Midrash is upset with Yaakov for that.
Yeah.
And the Midrash says because of that, that's why it happened to Dinah, that she was violated. And this is what I'm going to read you exactly what he says. Right. He had put Dinah in a box and locked it. He said, this wicked person, Esau, is lofty, is arrogant. May he not put his eyes on her and take her from me. Rav Huna, in the name of Rabbi Abba, said, to him that is afflicted, love is due from his friend. You have prevented kindness from your brother. Esau, even though he wanted to kill Yaakov, still, he is Yaakov's brother after all. And Yaakov is supposed to be kind to him because he's his brother, even though he was trying to kill him. And if you would have married her off to Esau, she would not have come to sin. You didn't want her to marry. You didn't want her to marry someone circumcised, which Esau certainly was, because he was the son of Yitzchak and Rivka, from a very good Jewish family. Surely he was circumcised, yeah. Now, behold, she'll be taken by someone uncircumcised. You didn't want her to be married in permitted way. Behold, she will be taken in a forbidden way. This is what is written. Dinah, the daughter of Leah, went out. So in other words, Yaakov is blamed by putting her in the box And sometimes parents are too overprotective, even though we could be upset with him like Terry is, we can also understand him. I mean, like, I don't have any daughters, but I'm pretty protective of my sons. Who wants your daughter to be married to Esav? Okay. Like, okay, yes, you could transform him. Very nice. And you should be kind to your brother. But what about your child? Like, your child always seems to come first before your brother, before anyone else. Like, you want the very best shidduch for your daughter. He only has one daughter. Yes. Go ahead.
Are you saying you're allowed to marry your niece?
Oh, yes. You're definitely allowed to marry your niece. That's what Avram did. He married Sarah. You're not allowed to marry your uncle, but you're allowed to marry your niece. Yes. Anyway, so where was Yaakov? So there was this. So the reason. Okay, so here is like what other commentaries explain is, that Yaakov, when he met with Esav, he bowed down to him 7 times. And I taught that in one of my Emunah healing classes about anger. Each time he bowed down, he was able to remove one of the klipot, one of the peels of Esav. And when he finished bowing down 7 times, he removed all the 7 snakes' heads, all the 7 peels of Esav. And then it says, until he came near to him, until he came near to his brother. Now Esav behaved like a true brother because his holiness was revealed, which was hidden in all those 7 peels, which also are called 7 snakes' heads. At that very point, when Yaakov was able to bring Esav to his inner holiness, if he would have then and there been married to Dinah, he would have stayed in that holy place. And he would have been a holy person. But because Yaakov didn't allow that to happen, Esav reverted back to his evilness. And through that, Amalek was born, and through Amalek, Haman, and Hitler, Yamach Shema, all those villains. I know how to spell it. Villains. All these, but in plural, villains.
Villain.
Yeah, all these villains were born that would have not even come into the world at all had Yaakov been willing to let Esav marry Dinah, because he surely would have wanted her, because she was, of course, like any other good Jewish girl, very, what am I going to say?
Holy.
Beautiful. Why would Esav want her? Yeah. So there is a place, and I'm saying that with very great trepidation, because I gave a whole long, smooth 2 weeks ago about not criticizing the biblical heroes and how careful we have to be. So by criticizing Yaakov now, well, first of all, this is from the Midrash, so it's not something I'm making up my own. But I'm going to add to it a little bit, but still remember, it's on a very, very minute level, like Hashem judges the righteous people like the hair's breadth. But there is, compared to the other holy patriarchs and matriarchs, seems to be a little bit more fearfulness when it comes to Yaakov. It's actually, I found that it says 7 times in the Tanach, Al tira avdi Yaakov, don't be afraid, my servant Yaakov, which seems to indicate that there is something that Yaakov is kind of afraid that Hashem has to calm him down. He doesn't say that to other people. And possibly, we know about Yaakov that he was a pure man. Each time, Yoshev Ohalim, he's the man that sits in the tents. He doesn't want to go outside and get his hands dirty. But sometimes to elevate sparks, you have to get your hands dirty. Around the golden nuggets, they're encapsulated with sand and dirt and grime that has to come off first. So to get to the gold, you have to dig down into the dirt and get it under your fingernail. He didn't want to do that because he's a pure man. He didn't want to get involved. So in the end, Dinah had to do it, and Dinah had to she had to do the work that Yaakov didn't want to do, and she had to get even dirtier. But she's bringing up a lot of sparks. Those sparks that Yaakov could have helped bring above, Yaakov lost that opportunity, and now it's taken away from him, and now we see he has nothing, he's not involved, and he's completely passive in the rest of the whole story of the violation of Dinah. It's like he's not there. It's his sons instead that take on the torch. And that's because he lost his chance when he put Dinah in a box, and now, and not only because of that, because there's a new time period starting, which is the period of the people and not the fathers. It's the period that begins with the next generation, as we're going to see. But before that, the violation of Dinah. First of all, I just want to clarify that she really was raped and that she really protested, because there is this terrible book, fun reading, but very off in its hashkafa, in its outlook, by the Red Tent. And I wrote this little booklet maybe 20 years ago that I called Dispelling the Myth of the Red Tent. And there, the first myth that dispelled was that in her book, Dinah fell in love. It was a love story between Dinah and the prince of the land. Like, you can imagine, like, who doesn't want the prince on a white horse? I'm sure that's what he was. And actually, Ramban says, I think, no, I did not give you that source, but Ramban says that it was in her praise that she didn't want the prince at all. Like, because usually a young girl would fall in love. I'm sure he's handsome, tall, wearing really beautiful clothes, rich, wealthy. Like, it's like every girl would be, he wants me, amazing. And she didn't want. She had her Jewish soul in the right place, and she screamed and kicked and protested in every way. And how we know it? Because of the word in verse 2, ve'ya'aneha, and he violated her. And that word inui, it means to cause her pain. This is the same word that's used for Yom Kippur when it says you must afflict your soul. Va'anitim et nafshotechem, like it's affliction. He afflicted her. And so also because then Shechem says to his father, take me this girl as a wife. What do you mean, take me this girl as a wife? You have her. She's in your room, in your bedroom. Why he has to take her? So that's in the text itself. It's in chapter. The whole story is in chapter 34 of Bereishit. So this is in verse 2. Take her. No, wait a minute. No, this is in verse 3. And so he says, this is in verse 4. Take this girl for me as a wife. So the word take can also mean convince her, or convince her family to convince her that she's better off marrying me. She'll save herself, because now that she's been raped, it's not really, it's a shanda, right? She doesn't have such a good future. Who's going to want to marry her now? I'm willing to marry her, and so maybe you can get her family to convince her that it's a good idea for her. But, and that also proves that she really didn't want to, that she was really being raped. Now, that's what it says in text number 3. And in text number 4, we have what I said before. That's where it talks about, that's the Ramban, how she screamed and cried and didn't want. Okay? And he didn't, yes, Tara, go ahead.
I have a question. I never thought of this before, but when you just said that about now that she was raped, it was going to be harder for her to get married, it made me wonder if that could be a strategy of Shechem or men in general that are rapists, like that they think that if they rape somebody, then that would be, it would be easier for them to get them. It's kind of delusional, but I wonder if that's...
I don't think so, but it's an interesting idea, because usually when a man rapes a woman, he doesn't want to marry her afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the story in the Tanach, Amnon, the son of David, who raped his half-sister Tamar, and afterwards he hated her. And this is also known, like in psychology, I know a few people who work with abused, with abuse, like the perpetrator hates his victim afterwards. And I believe the reason is that this victim reminds him of his own shadow side. Every time he sees her, he's reminded of like how low he stooped.
But don't you think the perpetrator hated the victim even before? That's an act of hate. That's an act of violence. The perpetrator hated the victim prior. That's an act of hate, doing it in the first place.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. That's possible. We could say that. But now, just notice what was Dinah's reaction after the story of being raped? Nothing. Okay, we see only that it says, and there's a hint that she was crying silently, because it says in Pasuk 2-4, ויאהב את הנערה, וידבר לב הנערה, ויקח אותה, וישכב אותה, ויעניה. So it has all these vai. I forgot even to say vayara אותה. And this is like a hint to Dinah's silent suffering, that she's crying those vai each time that Shechem is describing what Shechem did to her. She's crying, but she didn't blame. And that's what I said. This story is a story that we learn not to blame. She could have blamed her father. It's his fault. It was like the Midrash blamed him. And later, they took her baby and sent her baby to Egypt. They separated her from her tender baby. We don't hear that she blamed, that she,
Where do we hear that she had a baby?
In the Midrash.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and Rashi brings it. Okay, so she didn't even know she would ever see her again, but she remained in her silent suffering. And so we're going to see that through through dealing with her pain in her own way between her and Hashem, she's actually able to elevate a lot of sparks. And now we're moving to the topic that is transforming the family to become a nation. Okay, so basically, as we saw, it was not Yaakov who protected Dinah, but it was his sons. It was not the Aleph Bet, the beginning, the head of the family, but the next generation. And at this time, a lot of transformations are also happening. Yaakov becomes Yisrael at this very, in the next chapter 35. Rivka dies, Yitzchak dies. It's like the next generation is the one who are in the limelight. And now what's happening is there's a transformation from being a family. You want to say something? Hold on, Judy, 1 second. I'm going to finish my sentence and I'm going to call on you. There's a transformation from an extended family of Yaakov to becoming the Jewish nation. And who is the one who catalyzes that change? That is Dinah. Okay, Yehudit, go ahead. It's because it's very dark, so I didn't.
Well, the light's not on. My knowledge of the rape, she would be full of shame and doubt, because a lot of times the rapist blames themselves, the person who's raped. So she's hiding in shame. When her brothers then acted, that to her meant that she wasn't to blame. And I think that she was able to come through it and heal because of the actions of her brothers.
That she was defended.
Mm-hmm.
But it never says that she heals. It never says that Dinah ever goes on and heals, does it? In the Torah.
No, it doesn't talk more about her, but but we're gonna see. Okay, we're gonna see what's happening. Not
I
in
want
the written Torah, but in the oral Torah, it has a lot of things. Yes, Sharon.
just wondering about her name. What was the
I'm
connection?
gonna get to that.
Okay.
Okay, you don't take away my punchlines. You and Terry, you're terrible. You're too smart. Okay, so now we're still in transforming a family to become a nation. And we're in text number 5, and that's the Ramchal. Okay, would you like to read that, Sharon? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I printed out the Billa and Zilpa one because I missed it last week by mistake. And I didn't want to leave to go print out.
Okay, but did you get all my other emails? Because I just want to check that my email is working.
Yeah. I thought I would be on the class. That's why I didn't say anything. But in the end, I couldn't. So last minute. But I don't have the right. I could run and print it out.
No, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Amber.
Okay, so you said text 5?
Yes, but try to turn up your volume or go closer to the microphone or something.
Okay. I've got text 3, 4.
5.
Oh, new glasses too, so.
Well, we can't see you at all. Not even a shadow.
They look that good. It's that they don't look. Anyways, here we go. Chazelle compared Dinah to her mother Leah.
No, so it's text number 7 then. It's the
7?
No, there are 12 tribes. There are 12 tribes and 12 constellations.
Text 7 on mine says Dinah, daughter of Leah, went out.
It's text 3. Text 3.
Okay. I thought we weren't that far. Okay. There are 12 tribes, 12 constellations, and 10 commandments on 2 tablets. Everything is included in the 12 tribes. 12 emerged from Yaakov. However, they need to expand to become 70 souls. Who is the channel that transforms the 12 into 70? It surely is Dinah. In her is the secret of connecting the 12 tribes to become 70. And that was Drashai Ramchal.
The Ramchal. Very good. Thank you. So in Judaism, so the number 12 is a very important number because it's, the 12, it's, 3 in each of the 4 directions, and it's the cycle of the year, and the 12 tribes. And 70 is a very important number. 70 is known, there's 17 nations, and the Jewish people, when we became a nation, when we reached 70, when Yaakov's extended family reached 70, then we became a nation because for each Jewish person, there was one Gentile nation, 70 souls corresponding to 70 nations. So it's like if you imagine, I don't play games, but some people do, computer games or something. You finish one level, you go to the next level, right? So the next level looks completely different. The background, the video, the people, everything is different. So that's what's happening when we transform from being 12 tribes, like a family with tribes, to become a nation of, a complete nation. When we reached the number 70, we became a complete nation. Who's the catalyzer that makes that happen? And I'm going to show you how in 2 ways. Number 1, because the gematria of Dinah, and that Sharon asked about the name Dinah, and we're going to get to it more. But one thing about Dinah is, what's the gematria of Dinah? I'm going to write it for you. So it's 4 plus 10, right? Plus 50, the noon is 50, plus 5, okay? So what is that? I'm gonna enter it for you. Is this correct? 69, right? You see? So what does that mean compared to what we just were talking about?
One is missing. One is missing, so it has to be Dinah, right?
Well, that's something else, but 69, that's like one before reaching 70. So that's that is hinting that Dinah is the stepping stone, the one before bringing the nation to be, bringing the family to become a nation. Okay? She's the one before. Yes, you have it now. Okay, next time. Okay, so there's more to explain you. If you look in text in chapter 34, verse 7, I did not give you, it's not on your sheet. So either you can find it in your Tanach, or you can listen to me read it to you. And it is when the sons of Yaakov are getting very, very angry and mobilizing themselves up to make a war with the people of Shechem. And it says the sons of Yaakov came from the field when they heard, and the people got very, very angry. Ki nevala asa beYisrael. Nevala asa beYisrael. I'm gonna give you the words here. Nevala means something very disgraceful. And asa he made beYisrael in Israel. Okay. What is interesting here about the word beYisrael? Who does the word Yisrael refer to?
Yaakov.
Who?
Yaakov.
No. Israel. Go ahead,
Nation.
Terry. We can't. You're mute.
Is it the nation, the people?
Exactly, the nation. Did you say it? Maybe I didn't hear right. Not Yosef, but the nation. And that's the very first time that the name Israel has been used to refer to the nation Israel. And that's specifically in connection with Dinah, with the violation of Dinah. That's when this act, a lot of times it happens in Jewish history when more darkness, when we go down in deeper darkness, that something new is created for the Jewish people. For example, here, the term Yisrael is used for the very first time for the nation Israel. The nation Israel is created through this darkness of the violation of Dinah. Yet, the same thing happens, something similar with the writing down of the oral Torah that was spurred about by the exile, the Babylonian exile. That's why we have the oral Torah today, And so many times when there's darkness, it brings out something greater through the darkness. Yes, you look like you want to say something.
I have a question.
Yes,
that is where did you say this was in the Torah, the text? What line is it? What verse?
Yes, it is. It is in verse 7. Okay, from chapter 34.
Okay.
Oh,
thanks.
I try to write it, but I forgot I'm in Hebrew.
And one last question.
Sure.
Do we know, is there anything about Dinah's baby? Was that baby given a name? Do we know anything?
Yes, we're going to learn about it. You just
okay.
have a little patience.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to get it. Okay, so basically, through the breach of Yaakov's family's honorable boundaries, the family evolves into a nation. Later, Dinah is reincarnated into the wife of Tunis Rufus, who married Rabbi Akiva, the father of the oral Torah, which is she herself, as her reincarnation, became also the wife of Rabbi Akiva, who is the father of the oral Torah, which was developed in response to the darkness of the persecution and the exile. Yes, is that Sharon? Was that your hand? No. Someone else? Okay. So now I'm moving on to her power to transform. Okay, so we're gonna let Sharon read now that she printed it out. Okay, so it's text number 6 or number 4, depending on which handout you have. Oh, wait, you're muted. Okay, here, go ahead.
Is it kocha shel atavcha?
Yes.
Her power to transform. Yaakov was punished by hiding Dinah from Esav, for she would have transformed him to become good. In this way, she would have completed the rectification so that Amalek, who is the first of the nations, would not have had to emerge from him. Then the name of Hashem would have been complete and the throne complete. Rab Tzadik of Lublin.
Of Lublin, yeah. So we already talked about that, but there is more. Because you asked about the child of Dinah, and based on the oral Torah, the child was a woman called Osnat, and she became the wife of Yosef, and they had together, if they had Efrayim and Menashe, the two holy sons that became tribes, accepted like they're the only ones from the next generation who get the full status of complete full tribes. So in that way, we could say that Dinah internalizes the rape and transformed it into her grandsons, 2 extra tribes from this rape, Efrayim and Menashe. So there's 2 different ways of dealing with evil. One is by pushing it away, to not want to be involved in it. That's Yaakov's way. Another way is by being involved with evil and transforming it. That's called ithapcha, like what I have on the title here. And that is what Dinah did. And yes.
I just want to say that I think that relates to the word lahafoch, which is in our Amuna prayer. We're asking God lahafoch, right?
Yes.
Ha?
This is also the story of Purim, when nahafoch, it was overturned, it was transformed. Everything that, all the enemies that had the upper hand, it was turned topsy-turvy, that we had the upper hand on them. But there's other things that she transformed. In addition to what we read so far, there's some new things, okay? She transformed Shechem. He is written as having cheshek, desire, cheshek nefesh, desire of soul, ahava, love, dvekut, cleaving. These are all words that are used to describe what the Jewish people are supposed to have towards Hashem. He had these feelings. Dinah drew out these feelings in him towards her, but it wasn't only towards her, it was towards Hashem, that's the spark of Hashem that he saw in her. This is from Rav Tzadik of Lublin. Okay, so she's able to bring something out of him that is, and again, also bring out this love that's so unusual after someone rapes a woman. And now we get to the thing that Terry's rabbi, that what you wanted to talk about before, and I'm going to ask you to read text number 7, Terry. That's where it's written in. I never heard anyone else speak about it, and it's the first time that I hear that someone else knows my little secret from the time I thought.
So is it text 7 on my handout, or is it text 5? Because 7 is the last one on my handout.
So it's text 5 then.
Text 5, the one that starts with Chazal?
Yes.
Chazal compared Dinah to her mother Leah, like mother, like daughter. Just as her mother surely acted for the sake of heaven, so did her daughter. She also wanted to walk in the footsteps of her holy ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, to convert converts from the daughters of the land. Therefore, she went to see their insides and the depths of their hearts, whom among them would come close to her to listen to her words. Among the Gentiles, too, there are neshamot capable of becoming purified and clinging to Israel, as is known from Ruth and other converts. While they are still Gentiles, they attach themselves to follow the Jewish people due to the holy sparks within them. Thus, Scripture praises Dinah.
So is this what, so now explain what your rabbi said.
So he said that Dinah and Leah had the ability to look the bait that's in front of the word when they say, I think it's bivanot.
Yes.
So inside.
Lirot bivnot. I'm going to write it for you.
Okay. So using the bait to mean in. So to look inside. So some people have the ability to see more than what meets the eye. So they had this gift of being able to truly see inside of people. And so she was going out to meet with these people to convert them and bring them closer to God.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he's saying here. He's saying that about the bivnot, to see the insides and the depths of the heart. Mm-hmm. She's looking to find who has holy sparks that I can help bring out. And that's lirot bivnot haaretz, usually to see somebody else is, if you go to the Bible and see every time it talks about someone seeing someone, it's always lirot what? Et. Lirot et. So it shouldn't, like, unless we explain it this way, it does not make sense that it says lirot biv. Should say lirot et. Because the lirot et, the word et makes the next word in the sentence the object. So you want to see the book, you want to see the picture. So the book and the picture is the object. So it's lirot et ha-sefer, lirot et ha-temuna, to see the book, to see the picture, whatever it is that you want to see. This goes with biblical Hebrew and with modern Hebrew. It's to see it. Okay. So also Rav Hirsch says, at first Shechem raped her out of sensual lust, and afterwards he became infatuated with her by means of her natural and ethical chen, grace that she had, and he desired to continue to have a relationship with her. Okay, but Dinah attracted him to want to marry her, which is so unusual. Okay, and not only did he not despise her like Amnon and Tamar, but he wanted her, and not only was he did he really desire to marry her, he was willing to himself and his entire city to undergo this operation of circumcision, which is an operation for adult men. He was willing to have everyone go through that. That's how much he wanted to marry Dinah. And then there's another, so this is all like a transformation that Dinah enacted in him. She's about transforming. She could have transformed Esav. She went out to help transform the girls. She wanted to see who she could bring close to Torah. She transformed Shechem. And now the last thing, which is in text number 8, which I'm going to paraphrase. We're not going to read, I'm going to paraphrase. And, there's a general Kabbalistic concept that anything that exists only exists because it has a spark of God that keeps it existing. So if, even no matter how evil someone like Shechem was, it's only because he had a divine spark in him that he could be existing. And what was that divine spark? He had a divine spark. I'm paraphrasing text number 8 or 6 for you. That from Adam, the first man. And that's why he desired Dinah so much, because Dinah is a reincarnation also of Chava, I'm going to add. And that's why he was killed after he was circumcised. Why? Because he got rectified, and Dinah was through the spark that he had, divine spark that he had in him, was extracted. And this divine spark was Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion. That was the father of Bruria, the one who married Rabbi Meir in the Talmud, very famous father of Bruya, and he was the reincarnation of the good spark of Shechem. But with it, if it hadn't been for Dinah, he could have never been born. He would have been trapped inside of all the shells and evil and negativity of Shechem. Only because of Dinah, through her immense power of transformation, she's able to open up all those shells of Shechem and pull out the spark, which the final pulling out of it happened when he was circumcised, like when he did the kind of, but like Dinah made the spark already ready to come out. Like there was just the final like blow on the hammer, the circumcision. And why is that? And how do we know that? Because Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion is an acronym, okay, from the verse in verse 21. It's when the people of Shechem try to renegotiate with Yaakov and says, "Behold, the wide land is before you. Let's intermarry. You marry. You'll give us your daughters, and we will give you our daughters, etc." And so the word that's used in this sentence, verse 21, is rachavat, which means the wide land. Rachavat is wide, and it's an acronym of Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion. Okay, you see, Resh, Chet, Bet, Taf, Rachavat. These are the first letters of each of the words of Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion. And from here, this is from the Ariza, okay, so this is deep stuff. So he's saying that this is a hint in the text. This is Kabbalah, so it's not the simple meaning of the text. This is not the simple meaning. The simple meaning is, you can live here in this wide land. But the deeper meaning is, inside of Shechem, there was a spark of Rabbi Hanina ben Tardion, and it was released when he lived with Dinah. And that is the secret of the snake that came upon Chava, because there's a replay here. There is the Shechem, who is the replay of the snake. I don't want to say the reincarnation, something like the reincarnation of the snake. And that's why he's called the Chivi. Okay? Which we learned when we learned about Chava, that the reason why she was called Chava because of the Chivia, which snake in Aramaic is Chivia. And he's called the Chivite, even though really, if you look at text number 9 and text number 7, he was an Amorite. He wasn't a Chivite. He's called the Chivite because as an allusion to the serpent. He was something of the primordial servant, the replay, the reincarnation, the reenactment, and Dinah was the reenactment of the reincarnation of Chava. And that's why the snake desired Chava so much. That's the whole story that Rashi brings down. Why he tempted her to eat, because he wanted her. And so when Hamor the Chivite came upon her, when he violated Dinah, she became purified, while her impurity came upon him. And okay, so this is another thing, is that Dinah had a little bit of impurity as well. And that is understood also in her name Dinah, which can be unscrabbled to what? To
Hadin.
Well,
Hadin, judgment.
Yes, also. And also Nida. Okay, what is Nida? The same letters.
Cleanliness.
Nida means actually.
Rudy.
Well, Nida means the distance that a man must have from from a woman that's nida. It means like she's distant. So there is something in her that was not 100% pure as well, a residue from Chava, because originally the snake, I don't know if we learned that when I taught you about Chava, if you remember it, even if we did learn it, but one of the meanings of eating from the tree of knowledge is sexual intercourse. And like that the snake actually had intercourse with Chava. That's what it means to eat from the tree. There was 3 different meanings. And so that pollution of the snake was in Chava. And so Dinah had that because she's the reincarnation of Chava. And when the snake came upon, when Shechem, the reincarnation of the snake, came upon Dinah, the reincarnation of Chava, he actually took out that impurity from Dinah. So he cleansed her of that impurity, that the residue from the pollution of the snake that he gave Chava. Are you with me in this?
Are you saying Shechem cleansed her of the impurity from that she had?
There's 2 opposite movements that's happening at the same time. The movement, the first one is that Dinah is releasing the holiness from Shechem.
Mm-hmm.
And that therefore Rabbi Hanina ben Tadian could be born many generations later because of Dinah. The second thing is that Shechem is releasing the impurity of Dinah that she inherited from Chava. It's heat that Chava got from the snake. Okay, so these 2 things are happening at the same time. She releases his spark, and he releases her impurity. Okay, you with me in that? And now, and that is hinted at from the name Dinah, Nida, like which means like impurity of having the period, which also was a result of eating from the tree of knowledge. Before that, we weren't supposed to have the pain of period, the pain of pregnancy, the pain of childbirth. It wasn't supposed to be all of that. And so there is a pasuk actually that says in Vayikra, if a man is having relations with a woman who is nida, it says, "V'haita tumata alav," her impurity will come to him. In a simple meaning, it means like it's really, really forbidden to be with a woman who is nida, and it's going to cause him very strong impurity. But on a deeper Kabbalistic level, it can be understood in the context of our story here, that because Shechem came upon Dinah while possibly she was nida, when possibly she had her period, her impurity came on him. So he extracted her impurity from her, the impurity of the snake. And now it's basically the snake takes back his own impurity in a different reincarnation, because we said the Shechem is the snake. Okay? Is this clear? Because this is very deep.
I have a question though, because if she got pregnant from that, how could she have been Nida?
Okay, so that is a good question. So we don't know for sure that she was. Well, first of all, Nida is a halachic term that applies to a woman from after she has her period until she immerses in a mikvah. Okay? So a lot of women who are actually in the time of their ovulation could still be nida. Okay? So that answers that, but there's also other answers. Women can get pregnant when they have their period. It's less likely, but it's possible.
Okay.
It's the exception of the rule, but it happens. Now, okay, so, in text number 9, I already explained it. I think I explained everything that it's in the next thing. Here is the pasuk in Vayikra 15:24, if you want to look it up. Vayikra 15:24. That's what it says. And her impurity shall come on him. V'tihi nidata alav. Her menstrual flow shall be upon him. So in the Garden of Eden, Chava was left alone. Where was Adam? Adam should have protected her, right?
Well, Adam must have been right there because she gave him some fruit and he didn't say no, he took it.
Right, but that was afterwards. But when the snake talked to Chava, and the snake enticed Chava to eat from the tree, why didn't Adam say, "Wait a minute, stop"? Hashem said no. He could have taken her hand.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And so we can say the same thing about Dinah. Where was Dinah's family? Both Chava and Dinah were vulnerable, but Dinah is vulnerable only on the outside. Her child remains Jewish. Instead of walking away with death, like Chava did, she walks away with Osnat, with her daughter. Her inner strength is silent and doesn't need a voice. She blames no one for her affliction. The total acceptance of her plight rectifies the scene in the Garden of Eden, where there was only blame. Adam blamed Chava, and Chava blamed the snake, as we know. And now one more thing is 3 parents. We know that when Leah was pregnant, she was really pregnant with Yosef. She prayed, that was part of Leah's ability of transformation. She prayed so hard that her unborn baby was changed in the womb. And so she got Dinah and Rachel got Yosef. So in which womb was Dinah before it came into Leah's womb? He was in Rachel's womb, right? Because they were switched. So in a way, Dinah has 3 parents. She was partly carried as if in the womb of Rachel before the babies were switched. So she has the power of Rachel, which is the complete tzaddik, revealed righteousness, even within the lower world. And then she has the power of Leah, the Baal Tshuva, the power of transforming, the power of repentance, transforming the destiny. We know Leah transformed her soulmate. She was supposed to have married Esau. Leah transformed her unborn child. And then she has the power of Yaakov, because it says whom she bore to Yaakov. And that is the power of the pure man, Ishtam, the power of a pure man sitting in tents. Dinah is the product of all these 3 powers working together in perfect harmony. She had the power to transform. She could have transformed Esau. Instead, she transformed Shechem, the incarnation of the serpent. Dinah, din means boundary. So we're covering a lot of different meanings of Dinah. 69, Nida, now boundary, judgment. Dinah was walking on the boundary of all opposites. The boundary of Rachel and Leah, the boundary of the inside and the outside. Because on the outside she was raped, but on the inside she was pure. The boundary of man and woman, because she could have been a man. And that's actually, if you see in text number 10, she's written, in the beginning, she's written, give me this na'ar. She's written without the hey. It's pronounced na'ara, which means a young woman, but it's written without the hey. It's written the same way as how we write a young man. And that's hints. The Ariza says that in text number 10 or text number 8 for you, for some of you, that this is a hint that she was originally Yosef, like she was switched. So she's walking on a boundary of man and woman too, of Jew and Gentile, because she's looking to transform the Gentile women, of family and nation, because she transformed the family to become a nation, of Mashiach ben Yosef and Mashiach ben David, because she's considered both the daughter in some ways of Dinah and Rachel, who Rachel is the mother of Mashiach ben Yosef, and Dinah is the mother of Mashiach ben David. And so the outer Dinah, it seems like a lot of bad things happened to her if you just look at this story superficially. But when you look deeper on the inside, you see only so many good things are happening, so many rectifications, elevations, transformations due to this due to this thing that seems like a terrible story on the outside. And there is a very, very important principle that's taught, that we learn from a verse in Song of Songs, that it says, Achoti kala, gal na'ul achoti kala, you are a fountain sealed, my sister, my bride. A fountain sealed, it means, what does it mean? That there is a place in a Jewish woman that's completely, can never be harmed. There's a place within a Jewish woman that's protected and so pure. It's a locked up fountain. No foreign penetration can affect this place. Even the terrible violation of Shechem did not affect that inner place of purity that every Jewish woman has. And this is why Judaism goes by the mother, because even in this case, something so pure and so holy came out of this rape. It's just similar to the Hanukkah story, and we usually read this portion not so far, a little before Hanukkah, that they find within all the defilement of the Greeks, they find one little cruse of pure oil with the stamp of the Kohen Gadol that is not defiled. That's symbolized in really what's happening with Dinah. There's this purity within her that's not affected at all. And from that place she heals. She doesn't need even her brother's revenge to make her heal. She heals from within, from that place of purity that she gets in touch with. It's the heritage of every Jewish woman. And this is why Judaism comes from the mother, because even though she was raped by an uncircumcised man, the impurity of his seed did not penetrate to the place of her purity. And the soul that came out of that remained a pure Jewish soul. And so I think this is really important. And for me, I was not abused, but I can imagine that anyone who was abused, that it's a comfort to them as well, that every Jewish woman that's abused can heal from that place of purity that they have to get in touch with within themselves, which every Jewish woman has. So, and now it says that she was able to come back and to be reunited, she had courage to return to her family in spite of the shame, that it was a big shame to be violated, especially at that time. She returned to her family. She was reabsorbed into the family. It says it because we know in Bereishit 46 verse 15, when it talks about all the family of Yaakov that came into Egypt, Dinah is mentioned as well. So they could reabsorb her, but they could not handle her child because they didn't know yet that Judaism goes by the mother. They thought this is a tainted child. So what did they do with it? And this is all in the Rashi, okay? And we don't have time now to see the hints in the Torah verses for how we know this, for how Rashi knows that. But we have to trust that Rashi didn't make it up. And it's also in the oral Torah. That what did they do with this daughter? They sent her away with an amulet on her neck upon which was written, whoever cleaves to you cleaves to the seed of Yaakov. This is it's in the Midrash. The angel Gabriel brought her to Egypt, to the house of Potiphar, who adopted her. And when Joseph ruled over Egypt, all the women wanted to look at him because he was so handsome. And it says daughters thread on the wall. Each of them would cast something as a gift for Joseph. Osnat, who had nothing else than her amulet, she hurled her amulet at Joseph. When he saw the amulet, and it says, whoever cleaves to you cleaves to the seed of Jacob, he understood this is meant to be his wife, someone from his family, and so he married her. This is all written in Chizkuni on Bereishit 41:45. So in spite of the tainted nature of Osnat's conception, she was born from a Jewish mother who imparts a kernel of holiness to each of her children, no matter who their father is and whether the father is circumcised or not. So in spite of the tainted nature of Osnat's conception, the very unfortunate encounter with a non-Jewish man, she remained completely pure. She, the daughter of Shechem and Dinah, completely unaffected. She even achieved to marry who? No other than Joseph, who's called Shomer HaBrit, the guardians of the Holy Covenant. Like he's the one who's known to be the one who rectifies sexuality. Joseph, her husband, that became her husband, because he's the one who overcame the temptation with Potiphar's wife, and he's known because of that to be called the one who upholds the covenant. So she, that was, product of rape, gets to be the wife of Joseph. Kind of like ironic, because she overcame that impurity and became even more pure due to that, I would want to say. And it's really interesting because every night, fathers and some mothers too, and some grandmothers bless their sons, saying, may you be like Efrayim and Menashe. And if you don't really, usually we don't think about it, but really what they're saying is, may you be like the grandsons of Shechem. Why do we bless them? Why don't we bless them? May you be like Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, like we bless the girls. May you be like Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, and Leah. It would be more parallel to say Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. The reason is because Efrayim and Menashe are the first among the tribes of Israel to be born within the darkness of exile, who emerged from that dark place to become completely righteous and unaffected by the negative background. The fact that they became included amongst the tribes of Israel and considered Yaakov's children just like Reuben and Shimon makes a strong point that proves that Judaism goes by the mother. That's the first time it became clear only with Dinah. Even having Shechem as a grandfather and being conceived by the very unholy circumstances did not detract from the holiness of these neshamot to be included in amongst the tribes of Israel. This principle is so important that every Shabbat, when fathers bless their sons, they bless them. We ingrain the depths of this concept within our souls, and we complete that with the Birkat HaKohanim, the blessing of the Kohanim, the sons of Aaron, who were endowed with special purity and holiness. So there's another thing about Dinah that to also answer Sharon is that it's DNA of Hashem, and Hashem is often written just with an H and an apostrophe. So Dinah is DNA of Hashem. That's like kind of how you spell Dinah, more or less. That's what she teaches, the holy DNA of the Jewish woman, that the Judaism comes from the woman. So I think what we can take with us from the story also is that there is a hidden purpose of every experience that we go through in life, even for those experiences which are all but pleasant. Like we don't always understand. And I think it's teaching us very much not to judge. Her name is Dinah, but it's specifically teaching us, don't judge. And it also teaching us, don't blame. Don't blame others, and also don't blame yourself. Don't blame the victim. Don't blame the perpetrator. Don't blame yourself. A lot of abused people, there's a script about blaming themselves, you know. And so whatever difficulty we encounter, we have to learn that there is a hidden reason for it. The Hashem is behind it. There's elevations, there's rectifications, and we need to strengthen our emunah in that. So that's it for this class. I'll take a few questions because it was a lot of talking, and then we have to end. No questions?
That was great.
Go ahead, Sharon. You have a question? Wait, I unmuted you, but hey, wait. You're still muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can.
I'm wondering what Osnat was named for, unless you mentioned it and I missed it.
No, I did not mention it. I'm not sure.
It sounds like.
Yeah, I know. I wrote it in my first book. It's the word. It's being hidden in the bush, like snake in the bush. She was like hidden. I think it's written in my first book. Hold on. Oh, I lent someone my book. I have to get it back. But it's mentioned there. I think it's in Parshat Vaygash. Vaygash.
I had a thought about it.
Yeah, go ahead.
It sounds like the word, but it's different. The letters are turned around, but it sounds like the word ones, which is rape. And
that's interesting.
The fact that the letters are changed maybe shows the transformation of it.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'm just looking up here on the internet something quick. That's names. Well, it doesn't say here. Oh, it's not. Okay, I'm gonna send you it. It's just a silly thing. This is not the real thing, okay? It's just a silly thing I Googled just now. But maybe you'll like it. Okay, it's silly. Okay, I could look it up in my Torah computer program in my Torah sources. I have it in my book. I write about it. I'm pretty sure, and it has. But I think it is the same letters. You are right. It is very, very, very good. Yeah, there is a lot of things about it. Okay, so I think it's really too much for now, for after the class. But I think you answered yourself very, very good. All right. There's too many sources about that. I like the way you answered. Okay, so I think we'll end it with that. Osnat for unas means to be violated. Unas, and it's spelled almost the same way. So very good. Okay, so be very well. And so this is the last class of the first course. I know that Yehudit and Amber and Terry, you're continuing with us? I couldn't hear?
Yes, I am. I just need to register.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I don't know about Leslie and Sharon, but I hope that you'll continue.
I sent your information to a bunch of people, so hopefully we'll get more people.
Well, that'd be amazing. Okay, great.
Yeah, I posted it as well. I hope to.
I really like this group here. I hope that the ones who come to the class will continue, because there's a few more that's on the, that just gets the recordings, but that's boring. I like the ones I get to learn with. So I hope the ones who actually come will be able to continue. I know Sylvia, who usually comes, she's also continuing. So be very well. And
thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hashem. Okay,
Thank you so much.
my pleasure. I'm ending the meeting now. All the best. Lila, talk to me, and Yom Tov to you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.